Welcome to the Brand Doctor Podcast, strategies that help entrepreneurs build reputable and profitable brands. Here's your host, Henry Kaminski Jr.
Welcome to another Brand Doctor Podcast episode for you guys. Today, we're going to be talking all about hashtags, and I have a hashtag expert with me today because here's the deal. I don't know it all when it comes to social media marketing. I've been getting some great results with Instagram. We're growing about 3,000 new followers a week, all organically through influencer marketing and just through people sharing the content, and things are going really, really well. But I'm always looking for tools and tactics to help throw that gas on the fire to kind of rev things up even more. So you guys I'm sure some of you guys that have been listening to me for quite some time heard me talk about this platform called Flick, F-L-I-C-K, right? I've been using them now for about 6 months. Really, really intuitive and really comprehensive platform to help me pick the right hashtags and find the right hashtags that are going to connect and resonate with my target audience. So I have the pleasure today to actually have one of the co-founders of the software with us to help us navigate the software a little bit better and to help you understand the power behind Flick. So without further ado, I want to introduce my man, Loic Brown, to the show. What is going on, my man?
Thank you so much for the lovely introduction. Thanks for having me on the show. I'm really excited to be here. And I can't wait to share some of the insight that we've been gathering over the last 18 months of doing this with you.
I love it. I love it. So here, let's check this out. Let's start here, and then we'll rapidly get into the meat and potatoes of the episode. Why did you create Flick in the first place?
That's a really good question. So before jumping into the world of sort of software as a service, I personally used to manage accounts for clients. So I used to be a social media manager, and I also ran an agency. And a lot of my time was spent optimizing people's growth and account growth. And of that time, a big proportion was on hashtag research, which I had to do manually all the time. So when the opportunity presented itself to build a tool that would allow us, myself, to sort of streamline that process, it was sort of like a no-brainer to sort of design the tool for myself that would be super useful. And then down the line, we figured out that actually a lot of people would want a tool like this. And we, myself and my partners, quit the agency, and we just focused on developing this tool and bringing it to as many people as possible.
Phenomenal.
So that's sort of...
You had a need, you had a pain, you had a challenge. You create this software to sort of fix that, and then it turns into Flick, which now thousands of users are using this platform on a daily basis. So awesome stuff. So let's get into Flick and what it actually does. What is the benefit of using a software like Flick for your Instagram growth?
Yeah, perfect. So there's a few benefits. And I'll start off with the most obvious one, which is time. For anyone who's familiar with sort of Instagram and trying to grow on that platform, you really quickly realize how much time it takes to if you really want to optimize your growth. And Flick is essentially allows you to shave your hashtag research time from a couple hours a week, maybe 2-3 hours, to maybe 10 minutes when you're doing it right. So that's the first benefit. The second benefit is a lot of people who sort of have experience working with hashtags or are coming into working with hashtags for the first time have this feeling of sort of taking a shot in the dark. They have no idea which hashtags are more likely to work for them, and it's sort of like a guessing game. You might try 30 hashtags here and 30 hashtags there. And one of the goals behind us developing Flick was to gradually take that guessing away by providing insights into which hashtags are more likely to work for you through stats and through sort of analyzing trends in our user base as well.
I mean, listen, if you put the right message in front of the right people, that's where the magic happens. And I'll admit, I have a lot of engagement on Instagram right now, and a lot of people reach out to me asking me how I grew my account so large and how I'm monetizing the Instagram account, right? How am I taking them from follower to paid customer into high ticket customer, right? And when I do a brief audit of that person's Instagram account who's inquiring about using Instagram for business and growing it, I see a few things right off the bat. One, I see no hashtags being used whatsoever. That's problem number one. And number two, I see hashtags being used very incorrectly. So can you talk about how hashtags are being used incorrectly so some folks that are watching and listening can get a better understanding of how to use hashtags? And then we'll dive deep into how Flick can help with that.
Yeah, absolutely. So the biggest mistake that I see when around hashtags is, well, firstly, not using them. That's a massive mistake because it's basically free traffic to your page and hyper-targeted traffic. But other than that, the other big mistake is people think that using very, very popular hashtags is good for their page. And I'll illustrate this with an example. Let's say you're posting about, entrepreneurship, and your account is maybe a couple thousand followers in size, and you're going to try and use hashtag entrepreneur or hashtag entrepreneurship, which is used by millions and millions of people on Instagram and hundreds of thousands of posts every day. And the thought process behind people who do this is a really big hashtag. A lot of people use it. That means a lot of people are going to go onto it and more people are going to see my content. Now, actually, that's not the case at all. What happens, and for those of you who are familiar with SEO, it's very similar. If you're trying to compete on a keyword or a hashtag that is too competitive for you, you're going to get drowned out and no one's going to see your content. So I think the biggest piece of advice that we can give to people listening is focus on finding relevant hashtags to your content, but make sure that they're not the first ones that come to mind, and make sure that they're slightly niched down into maybe a specific subsection of entrepreneurship that's more relevant to your posts, where you can really target your audience with great precision. And also you stand a bigger chance of ranking or being featured on those hashtags.
I love it. I had somebody on the podcast yesterday, Nate Woodbury. He's a big YouTuber, and he was talking about when you're creating content for YouTube, look at it as a tree. And so the bulk of your, the heavy stuff is the trunk, right? And then you have some sub information. That's the best thing I can come up with right now. But like you have some sub content that are like the branches, and then you have the really detailed questions that people are asking, and those are the leaves. And if you could create content around those questions and create more leaves, right, that's going to grow your social tree, right? And I think that's kind of what you're saying. Like, don't use the real popular hashtags because, again, you're just going to get blown into the wind. But if you take hashtags that are small to medium, let's say, I don't know, I would consider a small hashtag to be around 15 or 20,000. Yep. Hashtag maybe 50 to maybe 250,000. And then, it goes up from there for a pretty competitive hashtag. Would you say?
Absolutely. And I think the key thing there is also you can scale these with your growth. So as you're growing your account, depending on how quickly you're growing, but every couple of weeks or every couple of months, you can sort of reevaluate and say, okay, now I'm more competitive and I can go and try and challenge for these slightly broader hashtags. However, when doing that, it's important to always remember, as you said, you still want those leaves there, and you want to hyper target with smaller hashtags. So in this case, in hashtags, bigger isn't always better. And I think that's one of the key things to remember.
That's a great point. So now I love what you said before about thinking of hashtags that don't necessarily come to mind right away. And this is where I love Flick. Okay. Because when I use Flick, I type in I type in a keyword, and it gives me a rundown of hashtags that are relative to that keyword. It also tells me how large that hashtag is. It'll give me like 87,000 followers or 87,000 posts or 100,000 posts or 1.3 million posts are used with this hashtag. But some of these hashtags are gold because I would have never thought of them in a million years to use. So this is one of the advantages of using a software like Flick.
Absolutely. And it's one of the biggest time savers. So not only do you save time because you don't need to think about these yourself, but also you sort of get this validation of, oh, okay, this random hashtag that I've actually come up with is actually a real hashtag that there is a subcategory of people engaging with them. And you can, on Flick, you can go through hundreds of hashtags in the matter of minutes and find the ones that are the most relevant to you and filter them by size. So you're sure to find hashtags that are relevant, but also going back to that point around size, are actually of the right size for your account. And the next question we usually get is, how do I know what hashtag is good for my account, right? What hashtag size is good for my account? Well, it was a question that we got so much that we actually built in a feature to solve. So when you connect Flick to your Facebook account, Flick analyzes your Facebook account and actually suggests search filters. So you don't even need to worry about sort of understanding the different sizes of hashtags you need. All you do is you activate the suggested filters, and then you just need to think of a few relevant keywords to start your search with. And from there, Flick will do the rest for you.
One thing I love about Flick is it has a lot of these softwares, they're either good on desktop or they're good on mobile. They're not good on both, right? And I have to say, Flick on desktop is very comprehensive. So it will tell you how popular that hashtag is. It'll tell you how it ranks, right? It will tell you how many people are using it on a daily basis. That's something that's very, very important to pay attention to. This is valuable information because this is going to help you get really laser focused on your target audience. And you've heard me preach and talk about this in nauseam, how important it is to speak to one profile or one type of customer at a time, because that is going to be much easier when it comes to marketing and branding your business. So this is super helpful to get this data basically mined from Flick, because now you're dialing in exactly to the hashtag that a majority of your niche audience is using. And now you can put that message right in front of them. And again, that's where the magic happens. And the time saving is just incredible. Like, I've done it both ways. I've done it manually where I just type in hashtags in Instagram and I watch Instagram sort of populate what's around that particular hashtag, and I'll choose them, right? That takes me literally close to 5 to 8 minutes to do. Now, if you know anything about posting, it's crucial that like the first 5 minutes of your post gets the most engagement, gets the most reach, right? So if you're spending that time trying to find hashtags, that time's going by and nobody's really seeing the post until those hashtags hit. So having Flick, it's like boom, and you're off to the races. So one of the questions that one of my clients had when I put them onto Flick was, what's the long-term ROI for using Flick? Because I could hear him right now saying, okay, I could get used to this real quick. I could create collections. You could create collections of hashtags, right? You could save them and send them to yourself, right? Once I have a dozen hashtag collections, like, why do I need Flick anymore? So I thought it was a really good question. And I'm happy that you're here today to kind of answer that from the horse's mouth.
It's a really, really good question. And it's actually one that we've heard countless times. So up until now, what we used to tell our users is that we refresh the data on our hashtags depending on the hashtag, every 3 days to 7 days, roughly. So one of the benefits of obviously using Flick in the long run and the ROI is you can keep tabs on which hashtags increase in popularity, decrease in popularity, which ones are flagged or banned is also monitored by our system. So it's sort of your ongoing sort of personal assistant when it comes to hashtags. Now, it turns out that people actually wanted a bit more information than that to justify this long-term ROI. And this is something it's the first time actually I mention it publicly, but we've been working on it for the past couple months. And essentially, we'll be launching end of January, beginning of February 2020. And what it is essentially going forward, Flick will be able to tell you which particular hashtags you've ranked on for each of your posts. So you'll know for each post, say you have a set of 30 hashtags, you might get a lot of impressions from those hashtags, but up until now, there's no way of knowing which hashtags generated the bulk of the impressions. When we release this feature, you'll start to be able to track for each post, for each individual hashtag, which ones performed and which ones didn't. And then you get this ongoing monitoring of what's working, what's not, so you can constantly tweak and refine your strategy. And there is absolutely no more shooting in the dark. There's no more guesswork. You'll know exactly what's worked and what's not. And you're going to sort of start bringing these A/B testing practices from marketing into what you're doing with hashtags and optimizing your strategy there.
That feature alone is worth its weight in gold.
We certainly hope so.
I cannot wait for that to roll out, because that is going to help tremendously. I did notice, I started to take notice of this recently, where if you have I believe a business account on Instagram, every time you post, there's a little button that says view insights of that post. And a lot of times people just like open it and see like the data that's right there. They forget to scroll down. I'm guilty of this. If you scroll down a little bit, it will tell you how many impressions that this post made, how many of those impressions came from hashtags, right? Absolutely. And I think that's very important, because if you post and you use, a handful of hashtags and you get 400 people, right? That's not a lot in the scheme of things, right? Especially if you have a larger account like mine, it's not a lot. You're saying to yourself, well, why would I use those hashtags? Why, I need to analyze this group of hashtags and decide whether or not they're effective. And so Absolutely. These are, Instagram gives you like the little taste, right? Yeah. But platforms like Flick give you the deeper rooted answers and the knowledge and the analytics that you need to go the extra mile. And I think if you want to win in 2020, it's all about going that extra mile. It's going the 200 extra feet deeper into everything that you do, not just hashtag strategy, but everything that you do to really win and compete in today's world. Absolutely.
And to add to that, I think it's also important to stress that although Flick was initially built for Instagram experts in mind, more and more now the platform is becoming really user-friendly for someone who knows nothing about hashtags, so that you can come on, and as part of this release as well, what we're working on is you'll come on and Flick will sort of guide you through the whole process. We'll even suggest hashtags that may work well for you. We'll sort of tell you which hashtags you should continue using, which ones you shouldn't. And it's sort of all you need to do then is click a few buttons and it'll be done for you. And that's what we're trying to go towards.
I love it, dude. So let me tell you as a customer how impressed I was to see the customer service of this software. So right before the holiday, I get an email from Flick saying, Hey guys, hey Henry, we noticed that you use the platform on mobile quite a bit, and we would love to set up a conversation with you to see how we can best help you maximize and optimize the usage of Flick. Would you be interested in setting up a call completely free? And I was like, this is a no-brainer. So I reached back out. I said, yes, absolutely. They sent me a calendar link. I set a call up. I get Loic that day on the other line. Not a customer service rep, not somebody that works for the company, freaking one of the co-founders that I'm talking to. And that, I was very impressed by that, number one. Number two, Loic was so worried about how I was using it, what I was using it for, how effective it was, all the way down to what I was being charged per month, and wanted to know everything so that he can help me use this platform at maximum speed, at maximum potential. And that I said, and he spent like over an hour with me. And I was like, wow, this is the differentiator between brands. This is how brands like Flick stand out in the marketplace. And what did that lead to? It led to me staying on the platform longer because I told him when I got on the call, listen, I know that I'm only using maybe 20% of this platform for the past 6 months, and I don't know if I want to continue to use it anymore. True story. And he was like, well, I appreciate you telling me that, and I would love to know why. And then I gave it, I let him know, I let him have it. And he told me this is brilliant. So he shares screens with me because it's a Zoom call, and he literally starts showing me how to use Flick on desktop, which I haven't used probably since I've gotten Flick. And I start to see all the benefits of using Flick on desktop, and I was getting excited. I was like, there's no way I can cancel this subscription. Look what he just showed me. So customer service and Flick, if I had to explain Flick in one sentence or one word, I'd say phenomenal customer service. So if you're stuck, if you just feel like you're lost when it comes to this stuff, feel free to reach out to them because they Absolutely. Are very responsive. And I don't know if you'll get Loic, but you'll get somebody that's very knowledgeable that is going to help you get through that. And so I wanted to publicly acknowledge that and tell you how impressed I was with your customer service.
Really appreciate the kind words. Thank you, Henry.
So I'm going to put in the description. This will probably go on YouTube too. So check in the description on iTunes and YouTube the link to Flick. I will send you a personal link and have you sign up and try it. There's a 7-day free trial, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So you could try it for 7 days, get your feet wet. That's your time to really reach out if you have any questions and get the answers that you're looking for, because I'm telling you, I've been using it now. It's January 2020. I probably signed up with Flick around July, probably. And it's been a tremendous asset to unique designs and branding for athletes. And I have there's no way I can cancel the subscription. That's how powerful it is. So I just want to let you guys know, because you guys are always asking me, like, what are the tools you use? You know, give me some tricks, give me some tactics. And listen, here it is. Start using Flick today. Click that link in the description right now and sign up for that trial. And I can promise you, you're going to start winning. And you're going to start getting way ahead of the competition, because they're still over there using no hashtags or using stupid hashtags that don't work or probably obsolete at this point. And you're getting the freshest of the fresh batches of hashtags every, 3 to 7 days. So, Loic, my man, thank you so much for coming on the show today and just sharing your insights. I love getting founders like you on the show because people want to know how much you care. So what are some, this is done on purpose, but do you have any teasers for us for Flick in 2020?
No, I do. I can actually share my screen now, if that's cool with you.
Yeah. So the listeners won't be able to see it, but the YouTube fam will. So go ahead.
I'll narrate it as we go as well, for the listeners as well. Right. So, what I'd love to show people who can see the screen, and for listeners, I'm going to go into what is our beta version of the tracking that I mentioned earlier in the interview. So I'll just go here, and I will go over here. So as part of tracking, we're releasing a whole analytics suite. So for those familiar with stuff like Buffer, Later, and that sort of stuff, or Iconosquare, who give you a bunch of analytics around your audience, we're also doing that, and that will just be included as a little bonus free of charge. Now, however, in the content section, this is what I was talking about before. Over here is an account of one of my old clients that I still have access to. And over here, what you can see is each post that she made recently. And then on the right over here, you have your basic insights. But you can also see exactly which hashtags she's actually ranked on over here, and then the ones that she didn't. And you can do that on each and every post.
Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing. So the ones that you ranked for, you want to continue to use. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah. So what we're encouraging people to do is sort of try a hashtag, a few times when it's relevant, and then see how many times it's actually ranked. And if you can spot a trend of ranking on a hashtag for multiple posts, then you should definitely keep using that hashtag and sort of save it so that whenever a post is relevant to it, you should definitely include it in there. And the same goes to hashtags that you use many times but you don't rank. You sort of want to keep them aside and not use them. And currently, you'd have to go through each post to sort of do that. But as part of the release, we'll actually also have sort of like a dashboard section, which will actually tell you. We have a little sort of mascot inside our app. For those viewing, he looks like this. And this person, we call him Flick Assistant. And he'll actually tell you when you log in, these are the hashtags that we know work well for you now. These are the hashtags that don't. So you don't even need to go spot the trend. We'll do it for you. And so that's what we're working on at the moment.
That is incredible. That is incredible. That's awesome. That's awesome. So for you guys listening on iTunes or listening to the podcast, go check out the video version of this, because it is so user friendly and it's so easy to understand. I don't consider myself a super techie guy. I really don't. So, for me to be able to see that in a split second and understand that is incredible, because a lot of these platforms do get a bit cumbersome. And it's a deterrent. It is a deterrent because most entrepreneurs are not tech savvy, and they need to stay in their lane, and they don't want to get bogged down with just tools that are hard to use. So, Loic, man, I appreciate your time today. We're just about up. And again, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your expertise with us and clarifying some of the questions that my audience had, along with sharing the benefits of Flick and how it's really going to help you optimize your Instagram account and help you build a better and bigger business in 2020. So thank you, my friend.
Thank you so much, Henry. I've had great fun. It was a blast. Thanks.
So there you have it, guys. Another episode in the books. Real quick, don't forget to subscribe. Write a little written review for me if you can. Those things fire me up. I have to say, I listen and read every single one of them. And if this was helpful, don't be bashful. Don't be shy. Please share it out. And last but not least, we are now getting around 65,000 downloads a month. And if you are a business-to-business business and are interested in advertising on the Brand Doctor podcast, shoot me an email, info@uniquedesigns with a Z at the end, not an S, .net. And I will give you our rates, because this is a strong audience, very loyal, and they are probably very much like you. They want to grow a profitable and reputable brand, and they want to help as many people as they possibly can by doing it. So if you're interested in that, drop me an email and we'll have a conversation. Have an amazing day, guys, and I will catch you on the next episode. Take care.
You've been listening to the Brand Doctor Podcast with Henry Kaminski Jr. To get your appointment with the doctor, visit Brand Audit at www.uniquedesigns.net.